What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Commentary for you. Kind of a video I talked about doing last night where I wanted to see what would happen if Tom Brady was on the Buccaneers last year. I haven't played franchise mode in depth in a long time, so initially making this trade happen took a lot of work. You would think that just giving the Buccaneers Tom Brady would be a pretty easy proposition, but as I showed last night, it really wasn't. Not only did I have to turn off the salary cap, I literally had to just force feed him to the Buccaneers. And then with this experiment, I wanted to keep things as even as possible. So what you're going to look at is a scenario where this is the New England Patriots side of the franchise, where Tom Brady is playing as a Buccaneer with complete computer control. So I'm not manipulating the Buccaneers in the least bit. This is simply their season last year with Tom Brady at the helm. Now, I'm going to try to keep my opinion out of this for the most part. But when you look at the season stats for Brian Hoyer, to me, it's not a bad season halfway through, but it isn't what I would have expected for a player getting thrust into a starting position. When you look at Tom Brady halfway through with the assist by Blaine Gabbert, the interesting thing to me is when we talk about all the things Madden tries to do to bring in depth to this game, X factors, superstar players, I guess part of me expects to see Tom Brady represented with the gaudy numbers that we've seen him represented with great receivers. And that's why I said part of this, I'm going to try to keep my opinion out of. I think Mike Evans is a great receiver. I think Mike Evans will do an incredible job with a quarterback like Tom Brady. You may not feel the same way, and that's perfectly fine. But to me, the lack of consistency in this game, I think, is what shines through the most. So this is Tom Brady Buccaneers style, 4,300 yards. Obviously, when you look at the complete season here, this is the other intriguing part, because for the most part, even when Tom Brady has not been the quarterback for the Patriots due to injury, they've been contenders. The Browns, in this simulation, finished the regular season number 1 overall. Now, we're going to talk about consistency in just a moment, but you see the Bucs go 8-8 with Tom Brady. The Patriots go 6-10. Now, again, like I said, void of my opinion, traditionally, I would think the Patriots would have a better season. I would also say that a Tom Brady-led Buccaneers team would probably go a little bit better than 500. Even with, the Blaine Gabbert numbers, the full season here for Brian Hoyer, 2,100 yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. A decent year, okay? Probably the most realistic part of this, if I had to give my opinion. Now, going over to the Buccaneers and kind of running this the reverse way, where naturally I don't have to deal as much as far as trading is concerned because I'm just running this out with Jameis Winston and seeing where Tom Brady goes in terms of a season normally. You can see Jameis Winston halfway through the year here is having what I would call a really respectable year. 1,600 yards, 8 TDs, no interceptions. Now, if you compare this to Tom Brady halfway through the year, 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,800 yards. To me, again, when you talk about disparity, when you talk about players mattering, I'm just not seeing it. When you look at simulation Tom Brady, 2,100 yards, 187 completions, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions halfway through the year. So again, some of these numbers don't seem, in my opinion, which I'm trying to keep out of this as much as possible, to represent the player as much as they do just randomized numbers. So halfway through the year, you see the Chiefs are actually leading the division, and obviously we're going to go through and wrap this season up and take a look at how things finish out. But when I want impact on a team, when I'm team building, this is, I think, where Madden ultimately comes up short, no matter how you want to construe these numbers. The Buccaneers here finished their season 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions with Winston. When you go and look at Brady's numbers full season, 4,300 yards, 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And then when we go through, we'll take a look at how he does outside on the simulation with the Patriots. You can see him 4,400 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And then when we compare this, again, unmanipulated Tom Brady to Brian Hoyer, 4,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I mean, take with that as you will the numbers. I know how I feel about them. I'd love to know how you guys feel about them. But again, I'm not, I guess, seeing the impact Tom Brady would have on a team one way against the other. Now, the intriguing thing when we get down to the standings is, and I say that with a chuckle, the Browns, 14-2. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about the Browns having the best record in the division, essentially. Back-to-back years, back-to-back simulations. I get it. On paper, they're a good team. But again, is Madden doing enough to project variables into this? When we go back down and take a look at how these teams finished out, you've got the Patriots 7-9, and then you've got the Buccaneers 6-10. So Tom Brady made a marginal difference on the Bucs by 2 wins and essentially just kept the Pats treading water. I don't know what they're using to determine the simulation results, but I don't see high-level simulation here. I'd love to know what you guys think about all this. I appreciate you taking time to check this out, and I will be back in the week with more commentary.